Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be my episode 3 review of Loki. Now this quickly became my favorite Marvel Disney Plus show, and it's just because of how crazy the whole concept of it is. And of course Loki is one of my favorite characters in the MCU, so it's always great to just watch Tom Hiddleston play the character. Episode 1 and 2 were pretty solid. Episode 3, I'm not gonna lie, wasn't my favorite. It's a bit of a filler episode, and it really just focuses on creating a relationship between Loki and Lady Loki, which is totally fine because it was fun to watch. Like, by no means am I saying this episode wasn't good, it was just kind of scaled back from the other two. So episode 3 picked up right where we left off with episode 2, with them going through the time door. They show up in the TVA and they're fighting some Minutemen. Lady Loki's powers don't work in the TVA, which she's all surprised, and then eventually Loki and her travel over to a different world, and it's right in the midst of an apocalyptic event. There is literally a giant moon about to crash into this planet. They need to find a way off, and they don't trust each other yet, and that's what this episode really focused on the whole time, was just building the character trust between the two. And I actually really like the chemistry between Lady Loki and the variant Loki, even though I guess they're both technically variants. They really played off each other well, and I'm really excited to see them in the next episode, because at the end of this episode they do develop some form of trust, so I'm really excited to see what that turns into. And there was a ton of evidence suggesting that this is actually Sylvie, which is Enchantress in the Marvel Comics, which I think Lady Loki is going to be almost like a combination of the two. And there was a scene where she's trying to enchant Loki, and it just seemed like a weird scene. I thought they were literally going to kiss, and I was like, what is going on here? There's definitely some romantic tension. I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if you guys saw that too. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this actually isn't a Loki variant and it's actually Enchantress, and then they end up liking each other by the end of the series or something. I don't know. I just got that vibe. But anyways, Sylvie basically confirms the theory that all of the TVA members are actually variants, which I said in my last video. Like, I definitely thought that Mobius was a variant, and I'm very excited to say that he pretty much officially is, which means that he was basically plucked right from the 90s, where I think he's from. Like I said in my last video, Josta, the drink that he was drinking, is from the 90s. The character was also created in the Marvel Comics in the 90s, so I definitely think that Owen Wilson's Mobius is from the 90s, and we'll probably have like a flashback scene to that time, or maybe Loki is just going to bring him to the 90s and let him live a free life, not working for the TVA there. And I'm just really hoping that the series ends with him on a jet ski with a big smile on his face and the sun behind him, and I hope he just looks at the jet ski and just says, wow. I just need him to say wow one time. But that was probably my favorite part of the episode, basically having that confirmed. There are variants all over the place, which means that the TVA is going to come crumbling down by the end of the series. I think Loki is going to reveal to Mobius, like, hey man, you're a variant, they've been lying to you. And then I think he's going to turn on the TVA. I think Ravonna Renslayer is actually going to be a bit of a villain, maybe working with Kang by the end of the series. In the comics they were lovers, so it definitely makes sense, and I 1000% think that Kang is behind this whole thing. The TVA might even exist in the quantum realm. That's why I think the next Ant-Man movie is called Quantumania, but Kang is definitely behind this, mark my words. Now, another cool part of this episode was a little bit of a Snowpiercer Easter egg. They're on this planet called Lamentus 1, and it's basically a really similar scenario. The world is essentially going to end because of that moon crashing down, so they have all of the rich people go on this train to an evacuation site to go on the ship and leave, and Loki and Lady Loki go on this train, and this was one of my favorite parts of the episode, just having them in this train. Loki gets drunk and starts singing songs, and it was a pretty funny scene. And when Loki gets thrown out of the window onto the ground, and then Lady Loki jumping after him, it was just a pretty solid scene, and I really enjoyed it. And then essentially the episode ends off with that vessel actually being destroyed, so now they're stuck on this planet. But I definitely think that Loki swiped that time stone in episode 1, and I don't think he's used it around Lady Loki just yet, because I don't think he trusted her just yet, and I think by the end of the episode he does. So I think how episode 4 is going to start is that shot that we saw in the trailer where they're basically both just sitting there, and I think the moon is about to kill them, and then I think he's going to just look at her and be like, hey, you know, I trust you, look what I got from the TVA, and then he's probably going to save Lady Loki, and they're going to team up and actually trust each other and try to take down the TVA. But I definitely think that Loki has the time stone. I don't think it's a coincidence that in episode 1 he stole the time twister from Mobius in a bit of a sleight of hand trick, and then he holds a time stone, which I definitely think is going to come back. So I am really excited for episode 4, and Tom Hiddleston said that episode 4 and 5 are his favorites. He said they absolutely go off the rails, so I'm really excited to see that. But I gotta say, episode 3 was a little bit slower, and I understand they had to do that to develop the relationship and trust between Lady Loki and Loki. It's not my favorite episode, but it wasn't bad. But I am super excited for things to just get absolutely crazy crazy next week. So that's my thoughts on episode 3. Let me know yours down below. I am really liking this series, and Kevin Feige said that this is going to be the series that impacts the MCU the most, so I definitely think Kang is coming. I'm not getting off the Kang hype train. He is definitely behind this whole thing. There's no way they just randomly introduced the TVA at this point in the MCU. Kang is going to be the next Thanos, mark my words. But for now, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more videos just like this, make sure you subscribe. But for now, this is the end. I hope you guys all have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video.